Yo, what up? It's Raphael with NBA Draft Junkies back again. And in this video, I'll give my draft grades for the Southeastern Division of the Eastern Conference. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Again, 2021 is going to be bigger, better. But before I get into 2021, I got to finish 2020, and I'll give my draft grades. First team up is the Atlanta Hawks. And Atlanta had a very interesting draft. At number 6, they selected Onyeka Okongwu out of USC. Arguably, in my opinion, the safest pick in this draft. I was shocked, stunned to see him go at number 6. To me, the pick makes zero sense unless they have some moves that they plan on making in the future. But as far as Okongwu, athletic, freak athlete, physical, strong. I love him as a vertical lob threat. I love him as a rim runner. I think that he's going to do good in the NBA simply because he'll have an opportunity to play in space, possibly, because he didn't get a chance to play in space in college. So I really like Okongwu, but the pick and the fit tells me something is up. But let's just say he does stay. He helps Atlanta as far as with a rim protector, and on defense, I think he should be able to defend on the perimeter a little bit. Not necessarily guard like point guards, but I think that he's a guy that if you get him switched on a guard or a wing, he should be able to at least give some type of effort. Like he's not a guy that you just can't switch or anything like that. So I like him. I like his defensive upside. I like his upside just period. I'm a big Okongwu fan. I had him going number 3 in my mock draft 2.0. I had him falling down to Washington at number 9 in my mock draft 3.0. But one of the reasons I had him falling to number 9 on my second mock is because I just knew Atlanta would pass him up. Because, again, it makes no sense. They just traded for Clint Capella. So, I think, now, you heard it here. I think there's a possible trade where Atlanta trades some of their pieces, whether it's Capella, Collins, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. I just feel like it just makes perfect sense for them to package those pieces in a trade for Giannis. If Giannis is unhappy with Milwaukee because this offseason they weren't able to really get a lot better. I mean, Drew Holiday is definitely an upgrade, but I know adding Bogdanovich would have been a big upgrade. But as of recording time, Bogdanovich, shout out to Bogdan, my guy from Fenerbahce, has signed an offer sheet with the Atlanta Hawks. As of recording time, Sacramento hasn't matched it, but based off what I'm reading, it looks like he's going to end up in Atlanta. I've heard the rumors that Bogdan and Giannis want to play together, so to me it makes sense. It could be like the Eastern Conference version of the Anthony Davis trade where the Lakers gave up their young pieces for Anthony Davis. Obviously, it helped them win a championship. And it just makes sense to me because Okongwu, Collins, and Clint Capella, that front line just doesn't make much sense at all. So if it happens, remember, this is where you heard it at. But at number 50, Atlanta also picked up Skylar Mays from LSU. I like Skylar a lot. Someone that I've had a chance to watch up close and personal from back when he was in high school and AAU. He's a combo guard, shot 39% from 3. Again, this pick doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense as far as like having a shot to play this year because Atlanta just picked up Chris Dunn. They just picked up Rondo. They have, wings that I mentioned earlier. So it's going to be tough for him to get some minutes there. He may end up spending a lot of time in the G League. But I like the fit overall with Atlanta and their roster along Trae Young. Atlanta's definitely made some moves to improve their roster, on the defensive end. Also added Nate McMillan. But something is telling me it's a big move because Atlanta just has too many wings to keep happy. I mean, adding Gallinari, they paid him a lot of money, like $60 million. You don't pay a guy that much money to come off your bench, especially when he plays the same position as John Collins. I don't know. Stay tuned. But overall, with the Atlanta Hawks, this is tough because I want to give them a B as far as their grade. But also, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and give the Atlanta Hawks a B because I think that they're going to make a move. And these two players that they selected will stay on the roster while some of the guys they had in the previous drafts will be moved on. So that will open up some playing time for the guys that they selected. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Atlanta Hawks a B. Next team up is the Charlotte Hornets, and Charlotte's going to have a lot of eyes on them this year. This is probably one of the more interesting and more anticipated seasons in Charlotte Hornets basketball in recent memory. They added LaMelo Ball at number 3. We know LaMelo provides box office excitement. He'll be the face of the franchise. And he can hoop. I mean, he's not just a rock star in a basketball uniform. He can hoop. 6'7", 6'8" point guard. Phenomenal passing instincts, high upside. Don't know who he reminds me of, but I can tell you one thing for sure. Well, I was thinking of players that, he's comparable to. I've seen the Penny Hardaway comparisons. I don't know if he's as offensively gifted as far as scoring as Penny, but when it comes to passing, the two passers that I love to watch the most as far as their creativity and confidence and just squeezing passes in tight windows are LaMelo Ball and Milos Teodosic. A lot of American fans are going to think of Teodosic as a guy that briefly played for the Clippers, but if you get a chance to watch his highlights in Europe, ridiculous passer. I mean, crazy court vision, confidence, creativity. And Melo reminds me of that. So actually, I think I'm going to make a video of Melo's passes and Teodosic's passes. Hopefully, I make it. You guys can check it out. But yeah, Melo adds a different dynamic to the Hornets. Now the backcourt is a little crowded. I'm curious to see what they do with Terry Rozier. I know Devontae Graham had a big year. In my opinion, he should have been most improved player. They gave it to Brandon Ingram. But, he was a number 2 pick. And I'm a big BI guy. I'm a big Brandon Ingram fan. But he was a number 2 pick. His progress was expected. As far as Devontae Graham, he was like the 34th pick. And he put up a good year, 18.7.5 assists. And I think the good year that he had overshadowed the good year that Terry Rozier had on paper. Rozier averaged 18 points a game playing off the ball. But he shot 40% from 3. He really improved as a shooter. He seems to be the odd man out because I can't see for any reason Melo coming off the bench, especially if they drafted him at number 3. Even though Rozier is the better player today, I just see him being the odd man out. I see a Devontae Graham and LaMelo Ball backcourt, which defensively is going to have some problems. But they added Gordon Hayward, so they have another ball handler and another decision maker on the floor. So Rozier, man, I don't know, man. I saw the video of you packing your bags and you're leaving. By the time this video airs, he might be an LA Clipper or going back to the Celtics. Who knows? I think the fit in Charlotte with LaMelo Ball is going to be great for them. But if I'm Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan has a reputation for looking for motivation, I'm telling LeVar Ball, check up, homie. Check up. You was talking that nonsense. You could beat me one-on-one. Check ball. Let's play ones. And let's see if you can cash all those checks that you were writing. So hopefully that happens, and hopefully it's televised because, man, you just don't call out Michael Jordan and talk about you can beat him one-on-one. But that's a whole nother story. All right, number 32, they selected Vernon Carey out of Duke. Carey is a kind of a throwback player, physical, low post banger. I think he's another one of these guys. If this was a 2000 draft, he would have been more regarded. Had a pretty good year at Duke. He averaged around 18 points, 9 rebounds per game. But I kind of like his upside and his potential to develop an outside shot. He shot about 38% from 3. Not a big volume of attempts, but I think he has a pretty decent touch. However, his free throw percentage was below 70%. So, I don't know. He's still young. I think given time, I think he does show just enough potential to where he could be able to space the floor, because that's going to be very important in his career as far as just being able to stick, simply because he's not going to get a lot of low post touches in today's NBA. And then, of course, defensively, a lot of the guys that are traditional low post bangers that are, thrive off of being more physical and stronger than guys usually probably struggle as far as defending. I think of like Jahlil Okafor as an example. So working on his defense and his floor spacing will be very instrumental in Vernon Carey's development. At number 42, they selected Nick Richards out of Kentucky. Now, he's someone who I thought was a first-round pick 2 years ago. He had an okay freshman year. Then he came back for a sophomore year, and it hurt his draft stock tremendously. But he made up for it as a junior. came back, averaged about 14.7 rebounds and 2 blocks per game. I think that this is a good fit for him. He should be able to compete for some rotation minutes. I know ahead of him you have Vernon Carey, who I just mentioned. You have Cody Zeller, who seems like he's been there forever and a day. And then same with Bismack Biyombo. I think that Hornets fans are probably just tired of seeing those guys. I know Biyombo left and he went to Toronto and he went to Orlando and he's back in Charlotte. But he seems like he's been in Charlotte forever. And like I said, with Zeller, I think the fans are just ready to move on, and I'm pretty sure they would prefer to give a couple young guys an opportunity. So I think the Nick Richards pick gives them some depth at the 5 spot, but he could be a developmental guy. So I like that pick there. At number 56, I feel like Charlotte got one of the biggest steals of the draft, if not the biggest steal of the draft, in Grant Riller. I'm a big Grant Riller fan. I mean, this guy is buckets on buckets on buckets. I thought that he was a first-round pick. I thought there were a couple of teams that I thought he would have been a good fit on. It's like a Milwaukee or maybe even Dallas at number 31 in the second round. But for whatever reasons, he fell. I just hope he gets an opportunity to play. Charlotte's backcourt is already a little crowded. But I think if Rozier is gone, I really like Riller in a role coming off the bench as a scorer. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal scorer. He can score on 3 levels, and he's a great finisher. I think that he's a good fit. I just hate the fact that he fell so low in the draft. And, you know, a lot of times when you fall so far in the draft, you know, your opportunity, your window to, like, get an opportunity is really small. But Devontae Graham was a second-round pick. Even though he was in the 30s, Charlotte was able to give him an opportunity, and he played well, made the most of it, and he had a great year. Hopefully Grant Riller has the same type of opportunity and, you know, maybe replaces Dwayne Bacon. I don't know. I like Grant Riller. I thought it was a good pick. So if I'm grading the Charlotte Hornets draft, I'm going to go ahead and give them a B. They added some depth at the 5 spot. They got their point guard of the future who's going to sell tickets and be box office with a high upside. And then I think they addressed the need for a creative scorer off the bench. So I'm going to give the Charlotte Hornets a B. Miami Heat had a great draft, in my opinion. A steal at number 20. I had Precious Achiuwa going 14 on mock draft 2.0. I think I have him going 17 on my third mock. I'm a big Precious guy. I like his tools. I like his potential as a defender. I like just everything that he brings to the table. I've mentioned that I think his potential is off the charts, but I also mentioned that there is a chance that he could be a big bust if he doesn't like find a role or accept a role. But I think Miami will get him right. I really like what Miami does as far as their development. I think that Miami will utilize his strengths. I mean, I think he's a high-energy guy that can defend multiple positions. He shows that he can put the ball on the floor, some on straight-line drives. If he can knock down open shots, he becomes a weapon. And then if he can improve as a passer, to me that's like the biggest issue for him is his decision-making, because he shows some passing skills, but his turnovers were way more than his assists. So if he can kind of slow down, slowly develop like they kind of did with Bam. I mean, again, we didn't know Bam was going to be this good. And I think Precious has shown a lot of potential. So I like Precious in Miami. If he can't work out in Miami, then it's going to be a rough road for him. But I think Miami is one of the best at developing guys, and they're going to be able to maximize his potential. I love that draft at number 20. I'm giving the Miami Heat a B+. So Precious Achiuwa at number 20 to Miami Heat, B+. Next is the Orlando Magic. I love this pick, Cole Anthony. I think he can play with Markelle Fultz. I think Cole Anthony is going to come into this season with a lot of motivation and a chip on his shoulder, because he was arguably the best point guard in this class coming out of high school. His stock kind of dropped after his freshman year at North Carolina for things that were somewhat out of his control as far as like his teammates. But then again, I feel like maybe it was in his control because he picked North Carolina knowing what the roster was going to look like. But he struggled as far as like finishing in traffic because North Carolina didn't have any floor spacing. He dealt with an injury. But I still think that he is going to end up being one of the better players in this draft class. I like the fit with Fultz because I think they can play together, simply because Cole Anthony is pretty good as far as like shooting off the ball. He didn't really get a lot of opportunities at North Carolina, but I think he will. I don't see him as a starter as a rookie unless they move Fournier, but I think he can come off the bench and provide some scoring, and then they can slowly develop him. And if Fultz ever gets his shot back And whatever that yips or whatever issues he had with his shooting, but now I think it's mental. But if he ever gets that back, then Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz could be a pretty dynamic backcourt in the future. So I like what Orlando did there. I think they somewhat addressed their need for a point guard because they lost DJ Augustin, who signed with the Bucks. Michael Carter-Williams, I'm not for sure if he's signed yet, but I feel like they addressed the need for a point guard or a guard and some outside shooting because, again, I'm really high on Cole Anthony as an off-the-ball floor spacer. So I'm going to give the Orlando Magic a B+. So Orlando Magic B+ with Cole Anthony out of North Carolina. And the Washington Wizards, I thought Washington had a really, really good draft. They drafted 2 guys I'm high on. At number 9, they got Denny Avdia, who I did not think would fall past 5. And I think that he's going to be able to come in and play right away. He should be their starting small forward from day one. I think they'll still bring Bertans off the bench, even though they paid him 80 million racks. But I love Avdia, what he brings to the table. The big question around Washington is what's going to happen with John Wall. That contract is huge. I don't see him being moved unless it's a swap for Russell Westbrook, which to me makes no sense, or unless New York decides to take on his deal. But I think Avdia could come in, start at 3. And if Washington wants to run and put up a lot of points, then I think Avdia is a good fit. I think he may struggle a little bit in the half court because right now he's just not a good outside shooter. And well, he's more streaky than good, but I think that's an area that he will improve on, and he probably has already because from everything I've heard, he's a hard worker, and I felt like he's just more so of a streaky shooter. But if Washington wants to run, Avdia gives them another playmaker, a guy that loves to get out and run in transition. He loves to get the rebound and push. If you get in a situation, Avdia is getting the rebound and push. It allows John Wall to run the lanes, which if he's still fast, creates a lot of open, easy baskets for Washington. So I like to pick with Avdia. And then at number 53, I love the Cassius Winston pickup. Cassius Winston was someone who I thought was a person that should have went in the late first round, early second round. I mean, the guy has had a crazy good career. He's a winner. He has the intangibles. He may not pass the eye test, or you may feel like he doesn't have as high of an upside as some of the other players. But the guy is a gamer. He shot over 40% from 3 in his career at Michigan State. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off movement plays. Great pick-and-roll playmaker. And he's a floor general. And I think that he could possibly be their backup point guard from day one. Again, I love to pick for the Washington Wizards. So I'm going to give the Washington Wizards an A-.